The pounding at 2 a.m. wasn't polite. It rattled my peephole, my beer bottle, and the lie I grew up with. Family comes first. I pulled on a hoodie and cracked the door. "Maddie, please open up." Savannah. Hair stuck to her face, one eye swollen shut. She clutched Chloe, 8 years old, strapped into her wheelchair, fingers white on the armrests. Savannah's knees buckled. I caught her, bumped the chair over the door's lip, and kicked it shut. Her jacket hung open, shirt torn. She flinched when my hand brushed her ribs. My phone buzzed on the counter. A text from Mom lit the screen. "Don't save her. She's a traitor." Patricia Blake, the woman who drilled family into our bones, had just told me to leave my sister outside. "You're safe," I said, easing Savannah onto the couch and throwing a blanket over her. Chloe didn't speak. She held a silver necklace, our grandmother's, like it was a handle on the world. I grabbed the field first aid kit from under the sink, bruising already purple, a shallow cut above her hip. "This needs a real doctor." "Please don't send me back," she whispered. I dialed. "Porter County emergency." My sister arrived injured, likely domestic violence. Address, details, weapons, suspect nearby. My eyes stayed on the door. Savannah opened her good eye. "You don't know the whole story." "I'm starting to figure that out." If you've ever had family first used against you, if someone told you to be quiet while a loved one bled, stay with me. This isn't gossip. It's a safety plan, and it starts. A new knock, not frantic this time, firm. I checked the peephole, a paramedic with a bag, an officer just behind. My hand found the latch. "It's worse than you think," Savannah said, voice thin as paper. The second knock wasn't frantic. It was firm. I opened for a paramedic with a bag and an officer behind him. He knelt beside Savannah. "Name? Where does it hurt?" "Savannah," she said, arm locked over her ribs. "Do you know who assaulted her?" the officer asked. Savannah gave the smallest shake. "Not yet," I said. Chloe's wheelchair squeaked. The silver necklace was wrapped in her fist. "We're going to move you," the medic said, radioing for a stretcher. I crouched to Chloe. "They're helping your mom. I'm right here." She nodded. "Buckles and straps." We hit the hallway. "You can follow to the hospital," the officer said. "I'm riding with her." I angled the wheelchair through, bracing my boot, so the little front wheels cleared the lip. Outside, humid night. The stretcher rolled. Chloe's chair rattled on concrete. One hand on her handle, the other near my hip. "Family?" the medic asked as the stretcher slid into the rig. "Sister," I said, locking Chloe's wheels beside Savannah. The officer took the rear bench. We rolled without a siren. Mask, cuff, clips, beep stitching seconds. "Grandma was there," Chloe said. "When?" "Tonight." She squeezed the necklace. "She told me not to talk." "Not to talk about what?" She looked at Savannah, then at me. "About Kyle." The officer's pen scratched. "Is Kyle the suspect?" Through the mask. "Don't tell them yet," Savannah said. "Keeping quiet won't make this better," I told her. Chloe whispered, "He said he'd take me away. Said Mom couldn't stop him." A punch to the gut. In my head, the checklist formed: protective order, emergency custody, filings most people dread and I can do in my sleep. Ear bay, bright light. A team took the stretcher. I rolled Chloe through the sliding glass. They pulled Savannah into a curtained bay. A nurse looked from monitors to us. "Family?" "Sister," I said, flashing my military ID, not required. Fewer closed doors. "You can stay." Her daughter, too. The officer peeled off to make calls. "Police report yet?" the nurse asked. "Not yet." Chloe stared at the curtain. I pulled a chair close. "What happened before you came to me?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Grandma said Mom deserved it, and that I'd go live somewhere better." My jaw locked. A doctor swept the curtain back. 2 cracked ribs, a possible hairline fracture, bruising consistent with blunt force trauma, she said. I'd typed those words into reports. Seeing them on my sister was different. "Do you want to file a police report now?" she asked, "or wait until you're stronger?" "Not yet," Savannah said. "We'll get imaging, pain control, and an IV. You're safe here." Chloe shifted. The old chair creaked. I tucked the blanket around her legs. "You're safe here," I told her. The officer returned with a notebook. "I'll need statements," he said. "You can request a victim's advocate." Savannah nodded. My phone buzzed. "Mom, don't get involved, Maddie. You'll regret it." I slid the phone away. I pulled my chair close, voice low. "Tell me everything." "It started months ago," Savannah said. "Kyle's been taking Chloe's disability checks. He says it's for the household, but—" Her fingers worried the blanket. "It's not." "No," I said. He spends it on himself. Trips with his buddies, new tools, mom knows. She says I should be grateful he hasn't left. Last night we fought, she said. I told him Chloe's money should be separate. He laughed. Said I was too stupid to handle money. Mom sat there, drinking tea. He grabbed me. I pushed him. He shoved me into the counter. Something snapped. Her hand hovered over her ribs. And Mom? She told me to stop making a scene. Told Chloe to go to her room. When I grabbed the chair to leave, Mom blocked the door. She said if I walked out, I was on my own. No help, no money, no family. I swallowed. Same woman who told me to leave them outside. I didn't think you'd answer, Savannah said. You thought wrong. Where's Kyle now? I don't know. Maybe at Mom's. Maybe drinking. Do you have proof? Bank statements. In my closet. The account's in his name with Mom as co-signer. My name isn't on it. I only see deposits because the VA still sends me letters. A trail. You're going to give me permission to access whatever you can, I said. We're done playing nice. She stared at the IV pump, then nodded. The officer drifted by. When you're ready, he repeated. Soon, I said. I opened my notes app. Names, dates, statements, bank, VA. Don't let this mess up your job, Savannah whispered. My job is protecting people, I said. That doesn't stop at the gate. Chloe put her small hand on Savannah's wrist. I stepped into the hall and dialed a number I knew by heart. Maddie, you on duty? Staff Sergeant Hill answered. Not officially, I said. Domestic violence, possible financial exploitation tied to VA benefits. Victims are my sister and her daughter. Suspects are her husband and our mother. If she signs a release, you can gather her personal financial records, he said. Anything tied to his VA claim is federal. Get it the wrong way and you're in hot water. Got it. Back inside, Savannah was propped higher. I took a folded form from my bag, a power of attorney I keep for emergencies. Sign this. It lets me act on your behalf for banking and benefits inquiries. Will it help? It starts a trail they can't erase. She signed. I photographed it, opened my laptop, and logged on to the slow hospital Wi-Fi. Using the routing number from her latest letter, I traced it through public records and bank codes. 2 names on the account, Kyle Merrick and Patricia Blake. Merchant codes filled the rest, Vegas resort charges, a Florida condo deposit, high-end sporting goods. Not a single charge that looked like Chloe. I turned the screen. This is where Chloe's money went. Savannah's lips pressed tight. Chloe rolled closer and looked down. Grandma said it was for the family. Taking your money without permission isn't helping the family, I told her. I saved screenshots, encrypted the folder, backed it up twice. If they find out you're digging, Savannah said, Kyle can get mean fast. Mean is easier to handle than clever. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You stick your nose in, you'll lose your stripes. I screenshotted it before deleting. In the hall again, I called Hill. Co-signed account, non-beneficiary spending, threat text. Enough to raise flags, he said. Maybe enough to get VA interested. Tread carefully. Let a lawyer run point. I know which one. I'll call her in the morning. Back in the room, Chloe had dozed off, still holding the necklace. Savannah watched her like she was afraid to blink. Get some rest, I said. I'll be here when you wake up. She closed her eyes, didn't sleep. My jaw set, steady. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number lit the screen with 5 words that felt like a hand on my throat. Drop it, Captain, or else. The text arrived like a blade. Drop it, Captain, or else. I stared until the screen dimmed, then screenshotted, time-stamped, and filed it. Evidence, 01 threats. Paper beats noise. Back in the room, Chloe slept with her head tipped toward the silver necklace. Savannah watched the sheet rise and fall. Everything okay? She asked. Everything is being written down, I said. I stepped into the hallway and called Hill. Anonymous threat. I'll stick to what Savannah authorizes. Good, he said. Keep it clean. By dawn, imaging was cued. I arranged a security detail at the entrance, not paranoia. Procedure. Then I drove to base housing to shower and change. The sun was a pale smear when the knock hit my door. 2 slow taps, a pause, 2 more. Friendly rhythm. I checked the peephole. Kyle. Clean shirt. Smile that never reached his eyes. I opened just enough to block him with my shoulder. You're not supposed to be here. Relax, he said, leaning on the frame. I'm here to clear the air. We're all family, right? Wrong. He let a practiced laugh roll. Savannah likes to make me the bad guy. I take care of things, Maddie. Always have. But she's been running her mouth to you, and I don't appreciate it. She didn't have to say much, I said. The bruises spoke. You're making a mistake, he said. You've got a career you care about. Be a shame if your CO heard you were misusing your position. I raised my phone so the red recording dot burned between us. Keep talking, Kyle. The smirk died. Hands in pockets. You think you're smart, but you don't get how this works. Patricia's on my side. She's got pull. Whatever story Savannah's spinning, it's noise. You let this go, we all move on. Not happening. His jaw clicked. This isn't over. He walked away. I locked the door, transferred the audio to my encrypted drive, and wrote the summary. Date, time, location, content, threats. Not a confession. Intimidation. I poured coffee I didn't want and replayed the recording on low. Then I packed. Victim statement forms, protective order pamphlets, chargers, legal pad, pens. By mid-morning, I was back at the hospital. I set the forms on the rolling table. On my way downstairs for extra copies, I clocked a black SUV idling a block down, windows tinted. When I turned my head toward it, it slid away. No plates from my angle. Deborah Langley beat me to the lobby, coffee in one hand, phone in the other. You called, she said. And you came, I answered. I pulled court records on Merrick, she said as we walked. 2 prior domestic calls, no charges. Your mother, Patricia Blake, listed as a character witness both times. That tracks, I said, holding the door to Savannah's room. Savannah sat up, eyes wary. Chloe watched the morning news with the sound low. I'm here to protect you and your daughter, Deborah said. I don't work miracles, I work facts. I need everything, even the ugly parts. Savannah lifted an envelope. This was waiting when I woke up. Fresh stamp, custody summons, emergency petition by Kyle. Deborah slid it and scanned. He's claiming you're unfit. Abandoned the marital home, no income, can't provide medical care for Chloe. That's lies, Savannah said. It doesn't matter that it's lies, Deborah said. What matters is he filed. We have 5 days, less if he pushes for an emergency ruling. I slid victim statement forms to Savannah. Start with last night, dates, locations, witnesses. Bank evidence? Deborah asked. I opened the encrypted folder and turned the screen. Merchant codes, Vegas resort charges, a Florida condo deposit, sporting goods. Nothing for Chloe's care. This is gold, Deborah said. Not just for custody, criminal exposure. Chloe rolled closer. Grandma said it was for the family. Taking your money without permission isn't helping the family, I told her. Savannah started writing. The pen scratched, stopped, scratched again. We'll file for a temporary protective order today, Deborah said. No contact from Kyle. If he violates it, he's done. I have an audio recording from this morning, I said. He came to my door and tried to intimidate me. Perfect. That goes in, Deborah said. I built a timeline on a legal pad. Deposits, spending, domestic incidents, threatening texts, the recording, Patricia's messages, the SUV, dates left, sources right, asterisks for corroboration. An officer stepped in, ready to take statements when you are. Give us 20, I said. Savannah finished 1 page and handed it over. Her signature shook, but it landed. Good, I said. Keep going. Deborah's phone buzzed. I'm looping in a contact at the VA OIG. If Kyle's disability claim doesn't match his record, they'll care. Do it, I said. She stepped into the hall to call. I kept writing. When she came back, she was typing. They're interested, she said. No promises. Nothing left bruises, I said. By afternoon, we had a stack. Savannah's statement underway, bank screenshots cataloged, the recording transcribed, the protective order packet ready. Deborah slid the pile into her bag. I'll file by noon. You deal with your chain. A nurse leaned in. Captain Cole, there's a call for you at the front desk, urgent. I picked up the handset. The voice was clipped. This is Captain Rains. I need you in my office at 1400 to discuss a complaint filed against you for abuse of authority. Don't be late. I didn't need to ask who filed it. Understood, sir, I said. I set the receiver down. I looked at Savannah and Chloe, one bruised, one clutching a necklace, and felt the next hour sharpen into a line I could walk. I breathed once, steady. The receiver was still warm when I hung up. 1400, complaint, abuse of authority. I looked at Savannah and Chloe, one bruised, one gripping a necklace, and set my pulse to the rhythm I save for tight corners. I have to meet my CO, I said. I'll be back. Savannah touched the tape over her IV. Is this because of Mom? It's because some people don't like sunlight, I said. Rest. Deborah and I have you. On the drive across base, morning hadn't started. I parked, straightened my blouse, and walked in. The hallway smelled like paper and boiled coffee. Blinds drawn, a manila folder on the desk. "Close the door," Captain Rain said. I did, and stood at parade rest. He slid a typed statement across. "Your mother, Patricia Blake, alleges you used your position in the military police to access civilian financial records without authorization. She claims you're targeting her and her son-in-law out of personal bias." "Sir, that's not accurate. I have a signed power of attorney from my sister, the account holder's spouse. Everything I've done is legal and documented." I set the POA on his desk like live ordnance, then the log. Time stamps for every pull, chain of custody, copies for JAG. He studied me. "I believe you, but accusations don't disappear just because you're right. CID will review. Meanwhile, keep this within civilian legal channels. No crossing the line." "Yes, sir." He exhaled once. "And Cole, family drama has a way of ending careers. Be careful, dismissed." I nodded once and turned on my heel. The door clicked behind me. In the corridor, I breathed. My phone buzzed on the stairs. Voicemail, "Patricia." I pressed play. "Sugar over glass. You've made a fool of yourself, Madison. You think you can protect Savannah? You're going to lose your job, and when you do, she'll have no one." Delete. Some words don't get space. At the hospital, the lobby hummed with shift change. Deborah met me at the elevator, folder in hand, coffee in the other. "Filed the protective order," she said. "Judge set an emergency hearing for tomorrow morning." "Good," I said, "because they're not backing off." "What happened?" Patricia hit my chain to tie my hands. "If they're swinging from two angles, you've got them cornered." She tapped the folder. "Kyle's counsel filed a custody petition full of adjectives. We answer with nouns, dates, deposits, diagnoses." We stepped into Savannah's room. The TV showed a storm across the Midwest. Chloe kept the volume to a hiss. "Emergency hearing in the morning," Deborah said. "We go in with the medical reports, your statement, the screenshots Maddie compiled, and the recording of Kyle at her door. We'll ask to keep the temporary order and redirect benefit funds to an account you control." Savannah's hand tightened on the blanket. "I'm scared, Maddie. He's not going to stop." "That's why we make sure he doesn't get the chance," I said. Deborah laid the plan. Who speaks when, which exhibits go first, which objections die on impact. Savannah listened with her chin up, shoulders set like someone borrowing courage. "Tonight," Deborah said, "you rest. You two review the statement for gaps, time, place, witnesses. If you don't remember, you don't guess." "Understood," Savannah said. Chloe still clutched the necklace. "Do I have to talk tomorrow?" she asked. "No," I said. "You'll be with a child advocate in another room. This part is for the grown-ups." Relief softened her mouth. She rolled closer, resting her arm across the blanket. The IV pump chirped once. I went to the family lounge to copy the POA and protective order packet. The room was empty, except for a humming vending machine. Pages slid out warm. I labeled stacks in block caps: court, OIG, JAG, personal. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I let it ring and filed the missed call with the others. Back in the room, Savannah wrote. Left-handed scrawl. Deborah stood by the window, working her phone. "Read this," she said. "A VA investigator had confirmed receipt of our summary and opened a file for review. Not dramatic. Enough." "Good," I said. "We keep our lane clean. They'll do theirs." By evening, the ER's rush thinned to a drone. When Savannah's meds loosened her jaw, Deborah capped her pen. "That's enough," she said. "I'll draft the short form and exhibit list tonight." She slid the folder into her bag. "You go deal with your world. Keep it boring. No heroics." "Boring is my favorite color," I said. She smirked. "Since when?" I squeezed Savannah's shoulder, brushed Chloe's knuckles, and headed for the door. The hallway felt longer on the way out. I signed the visitor log and stepped into the parking lot. Soft gray sky. A black SUV rolled the far lane. Slow, windows too dark. It didn't stop. It didn't need to. I noted time and direction and wrote both when I sat in my truck. At home, I staged the case across the kitchen table the way you lay out gear before a mission. The POA, an index of screenshots with transaction codes and dates, a transcript of Kyle's doorstep threats, Mom's texts, a summary of medical findings, a short outline of what we'd ask for, maintain the protective order, redirect funds, supervised contact only. I checked the locks, killed a lamp I didn't remember turning on, and sat. The building hummed with other people's lives. Another voicemail from Patricia popped up. I didn't listen. I tagged, timestamped, filed. Paper beats noise. I wrote the last line of the timeline and closed the folder. For a minute, I stared at the silverware drawer, not because I needed a fork, but because sometimes you pick a point so your mind doesn't keep falling. When the alarm dragged me up, the sky was the pale, washed-out color of a courthouse morning. Shower, clean uniform, hair braided tight enough to quiet the static. Drive. Courthouse steps, damp from a sprinkle. Floor polish and burnt coffee hung in the air like paint. Deborah met us at the entrance, suit sharp, bag heavier than it looked. Savannah walked between us, binder hugged to her chest. Chloe was with a child advocate down the hall, crayons and calm voices waiting. Inside, the emergency docket moved fast. Names called, cases shuffled, lives nudged inches. Kyle sat at the respondent's table in a suit a size too big, as if he wanted to be swallowed. Patricia wore a pastel blazer and pearls and a face set to respectable. "Remember," Deborah murmured, "we don't chase their adjectives. We offer the court nouns." I breathed and took my seat. The bailiff's voice lifted, practiced, and even. "All rise." Robes swayed. The judge took the bench, silver hair and sharp glasses catching fluorescent glare. Papers shuffled. A clock ticked. The room tightened to a single point under my palm. The folder, warm from the drive, waiting. "Calling the matter of Merrick versus Merrick," the clerk read. My stomach went still, quiet as a held breath. Tomorrow hadn't waited. It had arrived, and we were standing in it. "All rise." We stood. The judge scanned the docket. Emergency hearing, custody and protective orders. Kyle's attorney went first, piling adjectives: unstable, impulsive, irresponsible. He said Savannah abandoned the marital home at night and threw the child into turmoil. He called my involvement overreach, a sister in uniform playing cop-off duty. Deborah didn't twitch. She rose with the cadence of someone who lets facts talk. "Your Honor, my client left after being assaulted in front of her disabled child. We have medical reports, photographs, and sworn statements." The bailiff carried the packet to the bench. Bruised ribs, a sling, ER light in every image. "We also have documentation," she said, "showing Mr. Merrick and Ms. Blake co-managing an account where the child's benefits are deposited. Funds were spent on vacations and luxury goods, not the child's care." She handed up annotated screenshots, merchant codes, dates, charges that spelled Vegas and condo. Kyle's lawyer jumped. Privacy, relevance. Deborah didn't raise her voice. "The funds originate from benefits for the child. We're entitled to show misuse." The judge leaned forward. "Underlying statements?" "We do," she said, and the clerk stacked proofs like bricks. "And finally," she added, "an audio recording from yesterday morning when Mr. Merrick went to Captain Cole's residence and tried to intimidate her into dropping this matter." The speaker filled the courtroom. "You've got a career you care about. Be a shame if your CO heard—" The clip ended. The judge scribbled, then looked at Patricia. "Ms. Blake?" She folded her hands. "Your Honor, my daughter is dramatic. She twists family disagreements into this." "For now," he said, "the temporary protective order remains in effect. No contact outside court-approved channels. I will issue a temporary ruling later today." The gavel tapped. In the hall, Savannah's shoulders sagged. "He kept the order?" "For now," Deborah said. My phone vibrated. I answered. A man's voice, low and deliberate. "Drop it, Captain, or the Army's going to think you've gone rogue." Click. "That's 2 in 2 days," I said. I drove Savannah and Chloe back to the hospital. In a quiet corner, I sent the call log to Hill. Possible harassment tied to VA fraud. His reply came fast. Red flags on Merrick's VA file. Don't discuss details on this line. Back in the room, Savannah sat on the edge of the bed. "Mom called," she said. "If I keep embarrassing the family, she'll make sure Chloe ends up in foster care." "She doesn't have that power," I said. "Write it down. Date, time, number." Deborah walked in, phone to her ear. "VA investigator says Kyle's claim file is a mess. He's reporting a deployment injury that never happened. If that sticks, it's federal fraud." "How long?" I asked. "Longer than we like," she said. "So we start now." I opened my laptop and built a timeline. Deposits, spending spikes, police contacts, medical events, threats, calls, the recording, Patricia's texts. Seeing it stacked turned noise into pattern. Chloe rolled closer and handed me a paper. She'd made a list in a child's hand, dates when Grandma was mean to Mom. I slipped it into the folder. "It helps," I told her. By evening, the VA contact pinged Deborah. A formal review was opening, not a finish line, a door. I left to submit my written response to Rains. POA, time-stamped pulls, Deborah's letter directing collection. Forwarding to JAG, he said. On its face, you stayed in bounds. Morning brought a knock on my MP office door. Sergeant Vega handed me a memo. Captain, you've been called to testify in an Article 32 hearing. Name on the docket, Kyle Merrick. By 0900, I sat in the small hearing room. The prosecutor walked the presiding officer through the basics. A fraudulent injury claim, commingling the child's benefits, intimidation of a serving officer. Kyle sat at the defense table in his dress uniform, jaw tight. When it was my turn, I kept my answers clean. Savannah's POA, civilian accessible pulls, threats, the doorstep audio. The defense pressed misuse of position. I pointed to authorization and paper trail. CID's investigator followed with deployment records that didn't match claims and a medical file that looked written after the fact. We adjourned. Hill met me in the hall. Went well, he said. Keep your guard up. Cornered people swing wild. I'm ready, I said. Back at the hospital, Deborah waited. State court set the next custody hearing, she said. 2 weeks, and I have a witness. Mrs. Allen, the neighbor. She's seen Patricia cash benefit checks and hand cash to Kyle. Savannah's eyes widened. She'll talk? She's tired of watching, Deborah said. Those 2 weeks dragged on paper and snapped in small fires. We moved funds into a clean account under Savannah's control. We logged every call, every message. At night, I checked locks. The black SUV passed once, then not again. On hearing day, the hallway echoed with shoes and whispers. Savannah walked between us, binder thicker now. Kyle sat alone. No Patricia. Your Honor, Deborah began. Before argument, we have new testimony about financial misconduct. The bailiff opened a side door. Mrs. Allen walked in and swore in. I've lived next door to Patricia Blake for 7 years, she said. I've seen her pick up benefit checks meant for Chloe and hand cash to Mr. Merrick more times than I can count. When I asked why, she said, it's better in my hands than in Savannah's. Objection. Overruled. I saw new televisions, golf clubs, trips, Mrs. Allen said, while Savannah scraped by. Deborah handed the judge our annotated records tied to those dates, a consistent pattern of misappropriating funds intended for the child. The judge paged without changing expression. Mr. Merrick? Kyle shifted. I didn't handle the money. Patricia did. If there's a problem, it's on her. That contradicts your sworn statement last month, Deborah said, where you claimed you managed the household finances. He froze. Deborah walked the court through the timeline. Injuries, threats, spending, calls, the recording. Ordered, dated, sourced. Savannah testified last. I didn't abandon my home, she said. I escaped it. The judge folded his hands. Given the evidence and testimony, I'm granting temporary full custody to Mrs. Merrick, with no visitation rights to Mr. Merrick until further review. All benefit funds are to be redirected to an account managed solely by Mrs. Merrick. Any interference will be met with sanctions. Kyle's attorney started to object. The judge lifted a hand. Save it for the final hearing. In the hallway, Savannah exhaled a breath she'd been holding for weeks. I didn't think it would happen this fast. That's what happens when the trap shuts clean, Deborah said. We walked toward the doors. Reporters waited down the steps. Across the street, a black SUV idled. Savannah squeezed my arm. Thank you for not letting them win. They were never going to, I said. My phone buzzed with a text from Hill, OIG kicking the file to the U.S. attorney, fraud on the table. I thought of the first knock at 2 a.m., of Chloe's hand on a silver heart. Paper beats noise. Sometimes, finally, paper speaks. Rain tapped the courthouse steps when we walked out. Savannah squeezed my arm like she was testing whether the ground would hold. Across the street, a black SUV idled, then eased away. I didn't track it. The order held for now, and for once the system felt like a door opening instead of closing. Back at the hospital, Chloe met us with a grin and a question. Did we win? Savannah knelt, ribs wrapped. Yeah, baby, we won today. Deborah was on the phone filing the next thing. VA investigators moved. A note came through. Kyle's benefits were being pulled. The file headed to the U.S. attorney for possible charges. Not a finish line. Enough to breathe. Days slowed. We built a new routine. Medications, school emails, therapy appointments, locks that worked, a spare key with a neighbor who cared. Mrs. Allen dropped off cookies and a phone list. Security rotated at the ER, then at the townhouse when Savannah was discharged. Wind chimes sang when the breeze found them. The silver necklace hung on a pegboard above Chloe's bed where she could see it and not clutch it. Patricia called less. When she did, Savannah wrote every word with date and time. Supervised visitation would be decided later, not at our kitchen table. Kyle stayed loud by voicemail and quiet in person. The protective order held like a steel line between us and the mess. My own house calmed. Jag cleared me. Rain signed my reassignment to training command. "You've done your share," he said. "Put it to work where no one can accuse you of playing favorites." Mornings found me on the parade field, watching recruits stumble first steps. My phone buzzed with Savannah's pictures. Chloe, in the townhouse yard, arms up like a tiny referee, a golden retriever nosing her palm. The caption said, "She says this is her safe spot." Safety looks small on paper, a ramp that doesn't wobble, a therapist who calls back, a neighbor who knocks in daylight, the silence after you change the locks and nothing bad happens. We celebrated that don't photograph well, a puzzle finished, a night slept through, an appointment kept. Relief in ordinary. One evening, Savannah leaned on my counter while I filled the coffee maker. I didn't realize how much I was bracing for the next bad thing until it stopped, she said. No one tells you the quiet hurts at first. In the Army, we talk about missions like they end at a line, I said. But this one keeps going. Safety is maintenance. She nodded. Not heroic, necessary. We made a list for tomorrow. Pharmacy run, school paperwork, an email to Chloe's teacher about adaptive equipment. It looked like nothing and meant everything. Later, I drove home under a sky that remembered how to be just a sky. Streetlights laid gold ribbons across wet asphalt. I set my cover on the counter and opened a fresh notebook. On the first page, in block letters, I wrote, "Keep them safe always." Not doctrine, just the only order that mattered. A week later, we stood on the townhouse porch. Wind chimes ticked. Chloe showed me the pegboard where the necklace hung. "So I don't lose it," she said. She had a new brake on her chair that locked. Savannah traced the sticker on the box it came in, proof some money finally went where it should. Deborah stopped by with papers for enforcement. "This part is boring," she said. "That's the point." When you grow up reciting family comes first, you don't expect to learn that sometimes love means stepping out of the line you were handed. Love looks like calling 911, signing a form, testifying under oath. It looks like a sister in uniform writing receipts because paper lasts longer than shame. Justice wasn't payback for us. Justice was a door with working hinges and a lock we controlled. If you've been told to keep quiet because family first, hear me. Choose safety first. If that sentence presses a bruise you're hiding, talk to someone, document everything, and build a small team that will show up at 2 a.m. when the door shakes. You don't owe the people who hurt you a version of yourself that stays. If this helped you breathe a little deeper, tell us in the comments. Share what safety looks like in your world, or leave a word for Savannah and Chloe. Your voice might reach someone who needs it tonight. And if you want more true, no fantasy stories about choosing safety over silence, subscribe and turn on notifications. It helps this message reach the person who needs it most on the night they're staring at a door and wondering if anyone will open it. We will. I will. That's the mission now for me.